We start this episode with Spider-Man swinging through the city and looking for some action, as it is his last free day before school starts right back up. He hears a bank's alarm blaring through the streets and swings to the location. We see two guys carrying a bunch of jewelry and preparing to escape by jumping to the roof of another building. One of them is Flint Marko, who we all obviously know as Sandman, but he is not Sandy yet. Spider-Man catches both of the thieves easily, while also testing some new gadgets. Their boss watches a live feed of the absolute humiliation that they are going through, and so he orders for special enforcers to go after Spider-Man and take him out for good. The next day comes around, and Peter is excited to return to school because it is supposed to be very important. He silently hears Aunt May complain to a friend about their financial situation and how she shouldn't tell Peter so he is not anxious. Peter pretends he didn't hear all that and greets Aunt May before going to school. Meanwhile, an inventor by the name of Dr. Toombs is having an argument with Dr. Otto Octavius at the Oscorp HQ because Otto convinced him to show his mechanical wings idea to Norman Osborn, only for it to be rejected and then stolen by Norman. Norman joins the scene and tells Otto he should never apologize while taunting the hell out of Toombs and ordering his security to throw him out. While all of this is happening, Peter greets Gwen and Harry at school. He then takes a bold step to confess to the girl of his dreams, a cheerleader called Sally. Gwen and Harry can't believe he is actually doing it, but Sally completely rejects Peter and berates him for even trying. Flash Thompson and the rest of the jocks then come to bully Peter, and he tries his best to stand up to them, but they make fun of him anyway. Meanwhile, the crime boss from earlier got his henchmen to bring him 3 very strong enforcers. He tells them about his Spider-Man troubles and orders them to squash the bug like it is nothing. Back at school, Gwen and Peter are told that they have been chosen for an internship with Dr. Kurt Connors. The school day finishes up and Peter goes with Harry back to his place to tell him the news. They talk a bit about Peter's work history and how he failed with Sally, before Norman calls on them both to join him at the balcony and talk. Suddenly, Dr. Toombs, who is currently wearing his Vulture suit, flies in and attacks Norman Osborn in front of Peter and Harry. Vulture takes Norman and flies away to torture him. Peter immediately tells Harry to go and call the cops, right before he suits up and jumps into action. Vulture has a talk with Norman while he carries him throughout the city, and Norman is very cold and barely even scared for someone who is a couple of feet away from being squashed. Vulture then throws Norman to his death, but Spider-Man swings by and catches him before he falls. Both Norman and Vulture are confused about who Spider-Man is, and then they are shocked to see that he is not actually a myth. Spider-Man drops Norman off at the police station and starts focusing more on taking down the Vulture, but he manages to escape from Spidey for now. Peter removes the suit after the chase and meets up with Gwen to start their internship back at Kurt Connors' lab. They go in and are surprised to see an old friend working there by the name of Eddie Brock. He greets them both and then introduces them to Martha Connors and Kurt Connors. They officially start the internship, and Peter asks Eddie how much he is getting paid, but Eddie tells him that he is not going to be paid. They finish the work, and Peter is left wondering what he can do to make some money and help Aunt May. A newspaper then flies into his face, advertising a position at the Daily Bugle. Peter immediately goes there and meets with J. Jonah Jameson. He tells him that he has the opportunity to get him pictures of Spider-Man in action. Jameson berates him for the stupid idea and calls for security to throw him out, before blatantly stealing his idea in front of him. At night, Spider-Man finds Vulture going after Norman once again, and he chases him. Meanwhile, the 3 enforcers from earlier are flying a helicopter and tracking Spider-Man. They manage to capture him while he is distracted. Spider-Man breaks free of his binds, however, but he is met with 3 enforcers on the roof waiting to beat him up. Spider-Man manages to beat them up with only the one operating the helicopter left. He goes and catches up with Vulture once again. Spidey manages to strike 2 birds with 1 stone and defeat them both. The next episode starts with Gwen, Peter, and Eddie back at Kurt Connors' lab as they hear his lecture about trying to harvest clean and infinite energy sources from eels. He sends them home for the night while he works on a reptilian serum, and I think we all know how this ends. Meanwhile, an electrician who is also familiar with Dr. Connors is doing some handiwork and upgrading the machines at the lab for the eel experiments. He fucks up somehow and manages to electrocute himself while breaking the fish tank that is holding the eels. Eddie and Connors rush the guy to the hospital immediately after the accident. Spider-Man is winging through the city on the other hand. As Peter is trying to rush himself and not be late for school, he fails. Anyway, the class receives their test scores and Peter obviously gets another A on his test. Meanwhile, Connors and Eddie meet with the electrician Max. They see how he now has to wear a suit because his body is constantly generating electricity. Max is not happy with Connors and is distrusting of him even after he offered to work on a cure immediately. Back to school, the teacher orders Liz, the cheerleader dating Flash, to get tutored by Peter. She completely rejects the idea and brushes off Peter. Eddie, on the other hand, is trying to comfort Max during this troubling time. Max is infuriated at his condition since he had plans to go back to college and meet someone. Max's rage translates into electricity powers surging through the whole hospital and almost causing a power outage. He chooses to escape instead of listening to Eddie and coping with his condition, for now. Meanwhile, Peter is trying to tutor Liz, but she is acting like a total bitch to him the whole time. Max enters the cafe that they have been sitting at and causes a power surge accidentally before running away. Peter then tells Liz to go piss off as he runs away and suits up to follow Max. Liz seems pretty moved by being ignored for some reason. Spidey manages to catch Max, and he takes a couple of pictures to sell for the Bugle before removing Max's mask. The electricity surges from Max and knocks Spidey back. Now Max is fully unleashed, and he is not happy. They fight, but Peter gets a call from Aunt May, so he hides to respond. He goes back out to confront Max again, but he finds him long gone. Gwen meets up with Peter the next day at school to tell him about what happened at the lab. Peter feels very bad for attacking Max when his life is shit like that. He feels so bad, in fact, that he actually apologizes for ditching Liz and offers to tutor her some more if she wants. Peter and Gwen go back to the Connors lab to help on figuring out how they can stop Max before he hurts himself and others. Liz shows up unannounced, apparently ready to be tutored again. Meanwhile, the hospital doctors try to get Max to come back with 2 police officers right beside him, but the police officer loses his shit and threatens jail time for Max, which infuriates him as he escapes once again. Back at the lab, Peter tries to get Liz to understand the beauty of science, and she very clearly flirts with him, which makes Gwen appear very jealous. Martha Connors then catches her husband almost injecting himself with lizard DNA before electricity starts going haywire at the lab as Max makes his entrance. Max threatens Connors to cure right now before he does something violent. Eddie distracts Max while Peter gets the girls to safety, right before suiting up for action. Spider-Man tries to apologize for treating Max harshly, but Max attacks Spidey. They fight, and Spider-Man manages to defeat Max after throwing him into a nearby pool and leaving him unconscious for the police. The next day, Liz flirts with Peter a little bit before Flash shows up, and she reverts back to her bitchy cheerleader attitude. But she is also very concerned about brushing off Peter this time, so maybe she truly changed. The poll I posted a couple of days ago, coupled with my personal love for this series, made it really easy for me to pick it back up and recap it to all of you. It is genuinely one of the best pieces of Spider-Man media out there. Now I am only hoping it can get a X-Men 97 kind of revival, but it is unlikely since there is already a new show in the works. This brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me, what do you think of these 2 episodes? Are you excited for more spectacular Spider-Man? Let me know in the comments below, I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.